So now I was asked throughout the week, I want to show a little highlights of the new Photoshop before we end the session. And one of the biggest highlights, and this is their claim to fame, is the replacement of the skies, okay? And I did show it last week, but I'll show it again. You go to, I have an image here that doesn't have a sky at all, very bland, okay? Now I tried it in a landscape image. It tends to work better with landscape than architecture, replacing skies. It's kind of surprised, but it is what it is. Edit, sky replacement. Okay, very easy. Then you get a pop-up window that's going into my other screen. Here it is, okay? And if you click here, you have a database of different skies to choose from. They're called spectacular skies. You have sunsets. You can also, as you see, create a folder of your own and start creating a database of your own skies, which is not a bad idea. If you want to do that, you click on the folder here, create new group, and you give it a name. Say we'll call it Talk and Learn. Okay, just for the sake of the example. Okay, we have our Talk and Learn here. Now, if I wanted to bring a sky of my own, I click on this thing here, the plus, and I could choose a sky. Okay, this is not a sky, but it's just an image. I'll open it just as an example. Give it a name. Okay, it came directly into Talk and Learn because that's the folder that was current at the time. However, you can drag it into other folders, and I think I drag it from here. You can drag it and place it in other folders. Okay, and if I don't want this, I'm assuming I could just delete the group. Okay, yes, okay, but back into, let's choose a spectacular sky. Not bad. No, I like this one. I like this one. Okay, so I chose that spectacular sky. I'm just going to click elsewhere. Now I can choose the edge, fade from edge. You can see how it's going very, what happened now when I changed that. You can see the difference between how close or how further from the edge it is on. Okay, and you can change the temperature. Let's zoom out of it. Make it more yellow, make it warmer. You can flip it the other way around. You can do a lot of different things. However, this box is important and you want to keep it here on new layers. Okay, why is that? Because once you click OK, you'll have a whole folder here called Sky Replacement Group. And in here now, you're going to have the mask. And this is the mask of what was created. And this is what I demonstrated in my blog. Is when you look at the mask, you can see that some windows, it's not cut and dry. The sky is overlapping the building a bit. Okay? So those are kind of the blemishes that you can fix. But what's also very important, and what's really nice of Photoshop, what they did is they added these two layers that kind of match the coloring of the building to the coloring of the sky. Okay? Now you might like it, you might not like it. You can always, what Photoshop did was it gave us the option to modify all this, because this is a mask and I can do whatever I want to it. Okay, and here there's a different, even my temperature, where I changed the temperature of the sky. So really nice bells and whistles, but also keep in mind on the edges. Okay, you can see here, it didn't cover the whole sky. Okay, here it didn't. So edges, you have to be careful of edges and blemishes. If you, again, like I said, or to clean this out. And then sometimes there's a very easy way with the brush tool and a blending mode to make the white whiter and the blacks blacker. Okay. I was even noticing on one sky that it didn't select the bottom part. So you really have to go over your mask and make sure and check that everything is good. But overall, it does a beautiful job. For beginners, I would say it's really nice. But if you're more advanced and you have more of a critical eye, you're going to notice blemishes. Okay, the next thing I wanted to show was the pen tool. So the pen tool I teach in the intermediate course, how to use the pen tool. And they have a new tool called Free Content Aware Tracing Tool. And people think, oh, this is great. I don't need to learn how to use the pen tool. No, absolutely not. Okay. It's kind of like even worse than renovating your house. It's easier to sometimes start from scratch to build a new house than to renovate something new, because all of a sudden you notice all these problems occurring. Okay. So what you can start doing is when you're on this is you can tell Photoshop to start noticing details. And you can see here that it's noticing the lines of the building. But if you want to trace something specific, it's going to have a hard time knowing what it is exactly you want to trace. Okay. Let's say I was happy with that and I click, oh, I need to change something in my pen tool so you guys will see it. Okay. Now, if I want to continue and keep tracing, because it's not identifying, it's not going around the whole building, I need to know what I'm doing with the pen tool. Not only that, but look at how it selected it here. Okay, it didn't hug the building and it didn't fix this. I could go back and tell it to fix, but then I have to get rid of the initial. So you do need to know what it is you're doing with the pen tool. So it's not necessarily for people who don't know the pen tool at all, but I wouldn't go near it right now. I don't think it's perfected enough. I would just do my own selections from scratch, because what it's doing is it's actually selecting something by content. And you could actually do that on your own, because if I went to the quick selection and say selected the whole building, let's select this building. I can take this area, the outline of the building, and turn it into a path, because that's what the pen tool is for. It's for creating paths. So you can go to the paths and click on this icon here, and it created a path out of the quick selection. So I think this works better than their tool, but just something that I wanted to show and highlight. Okay. So Mallory, the Luminar users, do you think the Photoshop version of sky replacement is offering something we can't do as easily as Luminar? So I tried Luminar. I didn't find it that intuitive. I think Luminar has been in the game longer, so maybe they know what they're doing better. I heard Luminar also does reflections of the sky on water. Now keep in mind that you do not want your reflections in the water if you're shooting long exposure, because then you're getting rid of the marble slate water and you're adding texture to the water. So I always prefer doing things myself manually. I have more control over the way it's going to come out rather than doing things in a one click of a button. Reflections are coming soon. Yes, I heard that as well. They're going to start working on reflections. Let me mute everybody with the options to unmute yourself. And okay, well, thank you everybody for joining.
Thank you,
and
Sharon.
I look forward to seeing everybody next week.
Okay.
I will be here.
Bye.
Bye, Sharon. Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks, Sharon.